kid out there, 18 to 25, saying, man, I want to be in that position. Man, I want to make it to the top. Man, I want to make 7-figure years. How do they do it?
It's very simple when you think about it.
7 years, I've sold over $1 billion in real estate. Number is correct, right?
That is correct.
Angel, that sold that $400,000 house, could not sell the 22 million, 50 million, the 7.5 million. Like, what changed about you?
What we talked about earlier, experience. I put myself in this box that I was a baseball player and I was an athlete, and that was it for me.
Welcome to the Leaders Talk Podcast. I'm your host, Jacob Pinong, and I interview leaders amongst every industry for what you may ask, so that I can ask them questions they have never been asked, so you can learn something you have never learned about career development, leadership, life, and how to apply it to your life. So if that sounds like something that's interesting to you, stick along and learn from great leaders. Because look, great leaders learn from great leaders, so come and learn from great leaders. But today, as you can tell, this is not the normal background, the normal scenery that we have, because today I'm interviewing a man born and raised in the DR, right?
Born in Miami, raised in the DR.
Raised in the DR. Okay, that's what it was. Raised in the DR. Okay. Ended up making it to the minor leagues, right?
Yes.
Okay. Then, unfortunately, got injured and had to change, a sudden change in life, right?
Yes.
Became a personal trainer. Stayed in New York for around 2 years, no?
Yes, almost, 2.5 years.
Okay, 2.5 years. Then decided to start his career in real estate. Started his own brokerage after working with somebody else for 2 years.
I work with Angel Brokers, and my mentor was Urban Padron.
Okay. And I'm guessing there's where you really started to learn the business that you wanted to go full time on this.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then started that, and then started his brokerage, now the Nicolas Group. So I'm interviewing no other than the founder of the Nicolas Group, Angel Nicolas. Thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
taking the time. And by the way, just to throw some statistics so you guys understand, in the 5 years, it's been almost 5 years, a little over or under 5 years?
7 years.
7 years.
Yes.
Oh. 7 years, I've sold over $1 billion in real estate. Number is correct, right?
That is correct.
Over $1 billion in real estate. We're actually right now interviewing him in one of his recent listings, $7.5 million. Okay. Selling multi-million-dollar mansions, number 4 team in Florida, number 2 in Miami. Just throw the statistics out there so you guys can understand. But thank you for taking the time again.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
And thank you for saying all these nice things.
Yeah. So I think that was kind of your story in a nutshell, right? There was something that I heard you say on the Transition podcast. After that period that you got injured, you got traded to a team in the minor leagues, right? But then unfortunately, you didn't make the team because you were injured or you didn't pass physical,
Well,
right?
but I didn't really get traded. I got released. And then
Released.
I went to another team, and which they picked me up. And
Okay.
when they picked me up, before they sign you, you have to do a physical. And doing the physical, they realized that I had a labrum tear.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that is kind of when you got the realization that, damn, you need to kind of change career paths a little bit, right?
Well, at that point, I was super depressed, and technically, I thought my life, was over. Right? Like I worked so hard towards achieving this goal, and now I saw it coming to an end, and I had no idea what to do at that moment.
It always works out. The guest says something that is literally the perfect transition. Something else that you said on that same segment on the Transition podcast was that you got really depressed during that period.
Yes.
And I think reading by your body language and also by the way you described it was that you were scared to come back to Miami and be that one that didn't make it, and be the one out of your friend group maybe that didn't make it by the tone of it.
Yes.
That's what it sounded like. And there was a quote talking about depression that I took and I really liked. And it says, depression is feeling like you've lost something, right? But no clue where or when you last had it. And then you realize what you lost was yourself. Powerful
That
quote
is
when
beautiful.
it's powerful when you slow it down, but looking back on that period, what did you learn from that depression?
Oof, such a good question. I learned so much about myself. I first of all, let me just go back and say that I so grateful that I played sports because sports had shaped who I am today. Um, but I did lose myself because I put myself in this box that I was a baseball player and I was an athlete and that was it for me. And that's the way that I can make people happy and that's the way that I can make myself happy. And I was very wrong about that. So, the universe has a way of kind of bringing everything together. And what the universe was trying to do at that time was teach me a lesson that I'm more than just an athlete. I'm more than just a baseball player. And it was, I don't think it was by mistake that I ended up in New York with my brother, which from a different mother. When I got really close to my brother, sleeping on his couch, and my brother gave me a book, which is probably the first book I had ever read from page to page.
Excellence, right?
Yeah, In the Pursuit of Excellence. And I technically found myself again reading this book, and I realized that I add so much value to this world than just playing sports.
So now transition, you kind of found after that you started your own gym, right? I believe that you still have, or somebody still runs it for you, right?
Yes, my good friend Noslin Labrada, shout out to Labrada Fitness.
Uh-huh.
He's running Quality Fitness still.
And then from there, then you came to real estate. There was a statistic out there, right? I'm not going to pinpoint the website. I forgot the website, but there was a statistic out there that pretty much said that most CEOs, most people that are successful in their industry were once athletes, once whatever sport that may be. And I think it's because of that innate discipline, structure. You talked a lot about that in previous podcasts, structure, and that's what you always had, structure, structure, structure. But I think the real big one is the competitiveness. In business, in athletics, is that competitiveness, that drive to be the best, that failure to be able to get back up. And I think you're in an industry, some would say cutthroat, that is very competitive.
Extremely.
Extremely. I like the way extremely cutthroat. When you look at your competitors, when you look around, when you go to networking events, maybe not everybody is like you have ill for them, but competitors, what is it that you're saying in your mind to make you believe that, you know what, I'm better than these people? Like, what is it that you're telling yourself?
Man, I'm gonna say something that is probably, different than what you think I will say. And I like to think to myself that I don't compete anymore. And what I mean by that is that I don't. I create. I'm not competing against you. I'm creating my own ways. And where someone decides to go with you or me, then that was the way it was meant to be. I know that I'm enough, and I'm good with that. If I go out there in baseball and my intention is to hit the ball and I strike out, I have no control over that. I have control over now how I react to that for my next at bat. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
It's kind of,
so what I tell myself to answer your question is that my best is enough. It may not be enough for you, but for me it is, and I'm okay with that.
I think the overarching theme is controlling the controllables. That's what I hear a little bit. Controlling the controllables and ultimately just giving your best. Because I think you find the piece. Let's say you didn't get a deal, maybe you didn't strike, or maybe you got striked out, but you gave it your best. You have the peace of mind saying, you know what, I gave it my best. Maybe it just wasn't meant to be.
And the beautiful thing about playing sports and business and really everything is that usually the best lessons come from failures. And I think that's what makes the biggest difference with athletes. It's not just the structure, it's not just that competitive edge, is that we're not afraid of failing because we know from failing comes a huge lesson.
Yeah.
And now if I lose a deal, I ask myself, what is the universe trying to teach me with this? And then if I listen, then I learn from that. And then I'm just now better for the next pitch, for the next presentation, for the next whatever
Yeah.
that may be. But if I don't go through that process, usually there's no book that you can read that can teach you that. Does that make sense?
Yeah. There was, it's speaking about books, it's funny that you say that. Patrick Bet-David, you know who he is, right?
Yes.
He released a new book, Choose Your Enemies Wisely. I'm reading it now. got most of the book, and obviously the overarching theme: choose your enemies wisely, because choosing the wrong enemies can drain energy, and choosing the right ones can give you energy. And I say that because now that you talk about competitors, I think on the way up, right, up, whatever that may be, success, certain people, you remember certain things that people said about you, and it just fuels you. It gives you that fire. What did he say? He said, I won't become this. He said that I'm not good enough. He said that I came from the sports world, that I can't make it in the real estate world. Certain things that they say. Did you have those early critics or enemies that you chose that gave you that fuel to get where you are?
100%, man. I don't have one specific that I have in mind right now, but every day I'm motivated by positive and negative, you know? Um, if you say Angel is amazing, he's the best. I'm motivated by that. Now I want to live up to that expectation. And those are my intentions. But if you say, you know what, Angel is not a man of integrity, you know, that I'm also motivated by that because I'm now I want to show you myself and the world that, hey, hold on, I am a man of integrity, and I say what I'm going to do, and then I set up those intentions as well. So good or bad, man, I take it as a positive.
Take it for what it is. That's powerful. Another thing I heard you say on the podcast, that there was a period where your first baby was on the way, I believe, and you
Camila,
decided, Camila,
yes,
your first baby was on the way. You decided to invest $2,000 a month. It was a monthly thing, right? On a coaching. Was it a
yes.
mentor or was it online
No, it's the sales coaching.
sales coaching? At a time where you said you weren't making that much money, like it was getting tough to,
I was struggling.
you were
Yes,
struggling.
I was transitioning from the personal training world into the real estate world.
And on top of that, I think that pressure of, like you described it, you have a lot more financial responsibility when you have a kid on the way. Like, it gets pretty expensive. So that stress, that pressure. And there was something else in that book that Patrick Bet David said. He said he gave a real life example of a girl that worked in an insurance company, real estate something, and the boss said, "Oh well, look, there's a Tony Robbins event. We're gonna go to it, but it's $2,000." And everybody, all the top producers, they said, "Yep, we'll go. Perfect." The people that were on her level, the people that were under her that were not the top producers in the company, they were like, "Well, that's too expensive, to fly, to get the plane. Oh, then to get the hotel." No, no, no. She said, "You know what? What are the top producers doing? They invested. Okay." And then after the event, she came back and she said, "There was nothing he said that I took. Nothing. I don't remember a thing he said, but it wasn't about that. I learned that something changed in my mind. Something changed when I invested $2,000 that I didn't think I could invest, and it changed that. You know what? I'm really putting my all into this. I'm really, really about this. Showing your mind that, yo, I'm all in. I'm all in, and it's a mind shift." And I asked that because what is that? What is it that you learned from that experience of, like, you were on the line of, like, man, I can't afford this. I have a baby on the way. A lot of people would have said, well, let me save this. Let me get a safe job, whatever. You went all in. You took that risk. What did you learn from that?
You have to go. The quickest way out is through.
Quickest way out is through.
And sometimes there's a door that has, beautiful unicorns and nice pillows, and there's a
Yeah,
door that is raining, is dark, and sometimes that's the answer, that door,
the dark one.
the dark one.
Why?
And because that's the only one you learn. This door keeps you in a safe place where there's no growth. Have you ever heard of someone that has achieved something extremely, extremely high, that has not gone through some pain, that has not gone through some struggling times?
There was a saying that suffering is what makes a man. And what was it? The hard times. Oh, I think you know it.
Well, I will say it in my own way.
Okay.
You know, hard times make make it easier in the future. I don't know if that's definitely not the way the book says it,
Yeah.
but you know, the harder you work, the easier it is. You know, the 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 rougher the ride is, the more you enjoy the end,
Yeah.
right? The end result, I guess,
And I think the fear of it is kind of like that period that you were in. You're risking something that with no like there's no oh this is what you put in automatic outcome, the guaranteed outcome. You gotta have to make it yourself. You're taking
Yes.
that bet that you know what may or may not work. And I think that's the most powerful thing because you learn a lot about yourself.
Well, that's what I meant earlier when I said some things are just not meant to make sense, you know? Like
Yeah.
I wanted at that time, I wanted to make sure like, oh, if I do this and if I pay for this coaching, am I 100% going to be successful in real estate? No one can answer that. No one could except for myself. So at that moment, I was in the verge of like this real estate thing is not working for me or it's not and I asked myself this, have I really given it my all? Have I really tried everything within my power to succeed in this new
Yeah.
business? And the answer was no. And I said, have I going back to my baseball world, I've had a coach, an infield coach, a baseball coach, a strength and conditioning coach, a speed coach. And for real estate, I had no coaches. I had one mentor. That just makes no sense in my mind. So I said, no, no, no. I'm not giving it my all. What can I do? And if I pay for this coach, which it was tough to pay at that time, I was really tight with my finances, and it doesn't work out, I will learn some kind of lesson from that to help me in my next endeavor. So that's what I did. I just went all in, man. I
All in.
I forget who says this, but I just jumped. I jumped with faith that the parachute was going to freaking open up,
Yeah.
and faith helped me make that decision.
Walk by faith, not by sight. The quote that I always, or
I
a
like
verse that I
that.
always
Can you
have in
repeat
mind.
that again?
Walk by faith and not by sight.
I like that.
Bible verse. It's powerful.
Yes.
Kind of transitioning to the business side of it. That's kind of like your mindset. The periods that when you look back on it, it felt like it was never gonna end probably in the moment. And there's always something new. From you getting injured to now, oh, do I make this bet going all in with the real estate to oh and I have to move down here to Miami? Do I stay with my New York State comfort? Do I stay a personal trainer? Do I try something new? A bunch of different things that ultimately composed you into the person that you are. And now having sold over $1 billion, this is something I've been thinking a lot about. In order to be successful, like selling over $1 billion in real estate, is it necessary to be ruthless in business?
Man, I'm so glad you asked that question because, first of all, it depends what you mean by that, and the answer is unfortunately yes and no. Because I don't like when people achieve a certain level of success and out of nowhere they feel that they have to act like they're better than other people or talk down to people, especially people that work
Yeah.
within their group. It's not my style, and I don't like that. But sometimes you need to have tough conversations with people, especially my own clients, people that hire me to sell their homes. I need to have tough conversations with them, but I do it in a way where I ask tough questions. You know, I don't tell you what you should do because that's my way. No, I ask you, look, here are the two options, and you have to make a decision here. You know, and sometimes you have to be, I guess, ruthless in that way. Um, but I have my own way of being ruthless, I guess.
Because I asked this, so you don't need to, because I think there's this misconception when the people make it to the top of their industry, whether it's real estate, whether it's the corporate world, whether it's insurance, whatever it may be, you don't need to backstab your way to the top. You don't need to lie your way to the top. You don't need to cut other people's commissions to the way to the top. You can do it faithfully and do it without militia, is what you're saying.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yes. Look, I'll definitely when I focus on what do I have control over, you know? And that's always my motto. I don't control how you feel or what you decide after my pitch. The
Yeah.
only thing I have control over is how I pitch to you, the
Yeah.
questions that I'm going to be asking you, how I listen to what you have to say, not just your words, also your body language, and what's behind those words that I can't hear.
Yeah.
And yeah, I stay really in tune with that. And then because once you start trying to control what you have no control over, that's when you lose yourself.
That's powerful.
Thank you.
Once you once you try to control the things that you don't have control over is when you lose yourself. I think that ties back in with depression too.
Oh yeah,
You try to have
I
control of
saw
like
this
even
circle, man.
emotions are uncontrollable, and I think that's part of not giving into your emotion. To there's this thing: don't react, respond. Respond, don't react. Respond to your emotion. Okay, how am I feeling? Okay, awesome. But not, oh, I feel depressed. Oh, I'm gonna stay inside. But thank you for your time. I think your story was comprised of periods of your life that in the moment didn't seem like they were going to end, but ultimately led you to where you are. And I want to end off with one last question because most of our audience is young. You're at the top of your industry, it's safe to say. Number 4 team in Florida, number 2 in Miami. That's
Thank
hard.
you.
It's hard. Not everybody, like you, I'm going to put everything in the description so they really see it. They see the listings that you have right now, listings that you've sold. It's not easy to get where you're at. For a kid out there, 18 to 25, saying, man, I want to be in that position. Man, I want to make it to the top. Man, I want to make 7-figure years. How do they do it?
Ah, man. Um, it's very simple when you think about it. Find a mentor, find someone that you can learn from, and that person can guide you. Don't focus so much on what you're taking home. Take it, focus more on what you're taking up here, that it's going to help you for the future, right?
The
Give
intangibles
someone a fish they'll eat for a day. Teach someone how to fish.
never
They'll
starve.
they'll never starve.
Yeah.
So I hear all the time. I'm like, hey man, I want to be part of your group. I want to be part of your group. And they're like, the first question is like, what's the split? I'm like, dude, you're coming at it the wrong way, man.
Like that's genuinely like a common question.
Yeah,
What's the
like,
split?
yeah. So hey, so okay, what's the split? And I'm like, dude, what's the split? Like, you haven't even asked. Like, here what I want to do. How can you help me? How can I learn from you? They're so focused on what is the split. What am I taking in my pocket instead of what
Yeah.
am I taking up here?
And I think the overarching theme that I've heard from the people that I've interviewed is that they value the intangibles. Meaning, do you show up? Do you do your work? Do you stay past what you're obligated to stay? Do you follow up? Are you concerned more in the present, like, oh, how much money am I going to be making? Oh, look, what am I going to gain from this? Or, hey, what can I learn from this? How can I contribute to the team? Right now, I don't have anything. You have to be honest with yourself, I think, too.
Mm-hmm.
If you're 18 to 25 and you're just getting started, quite frankly, I don't think the team needs you. You need the team more than the other way around. But you
Yeah,
have to figure out a way that
that
you
may
can
change in the
contribute.
future.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
over time that changes. The more you learn, the more you get in sharpen your skills. But the point that I'm driving home, sorry for the
And I want to
long-winded.
touch on that again because I don't want to make it seem like, for that young person, it's like, oh, yeah, whatever you pay me, I don't care. No, we have to make money.
Yeah,
We have to eat. We have to, life is expensive.
you
You need to get paid. But my point is that, in the beginning, it's not as important as what you're learning that it's going to, create this path for you to create a business for yourself.
yeah,
Right. So when I first started, I just, I didn't do much research, honestly, on what agents are supposed to get paid. I did some, but not much,
what was your split when
and
you
I
first
just
started?
trusted. It was 70-30.
That's
Plus,
standard though, no?
it is standard, but again, I trusted. I didn't. Most people even try to
Yeah,
negotiate that. Plus, like a 6% royalty, so technically it was
it's pretty good
30,
actually.
yeah, 36%.
Yeah,
But here's what I did. That was my split with the broker, right? In the first year, I got Rookie of the Year. And I sold about $14 million my first year in real estate.
first year.
First year in real estate.
That's not normal, by the way.
Shout
Just so
out
you
again
guys
to
know.
Irvin Padron. He was a big impact in my life.
You still doing real estate now?
Irvin has moved on to bigger and better things, man. He's doing big developments now.
Developer.
Yeah, he's a developer. I think the guy's a genius the way he's able to put deals together.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot of, a lot of good and bad. But I learned so much from him. But that was my split with the broker. I got a listing, which, well, I said we got a listing because I brought the client in and Irvin helped me close a deal.
Uh-huh.
And we got 2 new construction properties. So check this out. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. And I wanted to provide a good value because for me at that moment, it wasn't about how much money I needed to make. And trust me, I needed to make money. It was about learning and providing a good service. Because from the beginning, I said, if I'm going to start in this game, I want everyone to, when they deal with me, to be like, man, that guy does things the right way. He provided a good service. So I partnered up with someone else. I could try to do it myself, but I knew that I didn't know what the heck I was doing at the time. So shout out to 2 guys, Victor Laniel and Matthew, because yes, these guys, I partnered up with my first, I want to say like 4 deals with them. And I learned so much from them and how so many little things that go in a deal, right? So we closed a deal. My first deal was like $1 million, and the second one was like 2.2.
That's big for your first deals.
I take that back. The first one ever was like $460,000, and then after that was 1, and then 2.2. But think about this: I didn't have to partner up with them, but I did, and I'm so grateful that I did. So the commission will come in 50-50, 50 to me, 50 to them, and out of that 50, I had to pay 36% to my broker. I took home almost 25%, less than 25%, right? Am I doing this math correctly?
Maybe.
The point is that even though I sold $14 million, which is a lot of money when you can think about 3% on that, I didn't. I really didn't. But I took home a lot more than the full 100%.
Yeah.
You know? And that's what I mean by that,
Yeah.
Just partner up with guys, be flexible with your commission in the beginning. Because if you're learning, you got to get value for that too, right?
Yeah, of course.
Because you got to get value for that. If you're not getting value, then you're with the wrong team.
Yeah.
And that's super important to be with the right team that can help you in the beginning.
But like you said, the first deal they closed, $400,000.
Yeah.
This listing is 7.5. You have another one that we're supposed.
Can I say something about that?
Yeah.
Because that taught me a lesson. The first deal, I was that kid that was like, oh no, F that. Why am I giving money away? It was a shit show, man.
The deal?
460. Shout out to my friend Rafa and Frank for giving me the opportunity. I don't know what the heck I was doing. I didn't partner up with someone, and it was a roller coaster.
Didn't know what you were doing.
I didn't know what I was doing. I was acting, faking until you make it.
The 400,000, right? Now, one of the listings that we were supposed to go to was 22 million, right?
Yes, I'll take you there.
I'd like to see it. And then you have another one for 50, right?
I can't talk about that one, but yes.
Okay, yeah, I can cut that out.
No, you can. As long as
you put it.
Yeah, it's fine. We just can't mention the address.
Oh yeah.
Not yet,
And
at least.
moral of the story is that is precisely, what is that? 50 times? No, I don't know. So it's 20 to 50 times larger than your first deal.
Oh yes.
And I think it requires a different person. That angel that sold that $400,000 house could not sell the 22 million, 50 million, the 7.5 million. What changed? Like, what changed about you to sell that?
What we talked about earlier, experience, going through freaking that door that I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Instead of taking
the harder one.
Instead of taking the one that I'm comfortable with, taking that other door, man, that it was a bumpy ride. And now I go through it, right? That's what I mean. The quickest way out is through it. When you go through it, you come out with all this experience, with all this now confidence from within that you know that you can do certain things because you've experienced the other side. So it's really experience, man. Experience.
You gain confidence from the suffering. I'm gonna leave that there. You gain confidence from the suffering. I'm gonna just leave it there.
From preparation and the suffering. But look, it all depends because suffering can make you more of this guy. I don't want to deal with that. Or it all depends what you tell yourself, right? Or suffering can make you a stronger person. You know, it
The
all
way you
it
take
all
it, the way you look
it
at
all
it,
it's all how you take it. It's all perspective, right?
perspective.
You strike out and you say, "Oh man, oh God, I suck. This is terrible." Or you strike out and you're like, "What happened in that at bat? You know, what can I learn from that? Was I ready for that pitch? What was I looking for? You know?" And then now your mind now is saying, "Oh, how can we help Angel now for the next at bat?"
Yeah.
And the other side where I say, "Oh, I suck," it's like, "Oh yeah, Angel sucks."
Is again going
And
back to
let's
the
keep Angel away from that next at bat.
yeah.
Let's keep him safe. So whenever I feel this emotions, I've learned to go for the other side, man, the hard side. You
Go
know,
towards the hard. I think
go.
that
The obstacle is the way. This is a freaking phenomenal book by
the
Ryan
obstacle
Holiday.
is the way. You know,
Obstacle is the way.
you know something funny. Every guest has been on has given the book from. Well, the mayor didn't give the book. Both of the mayors didn't give the book, but everybody else has given a book. They said something. They said,
Yeah.
"Oh, this book is amazing." Everybody has said
Shout
it.
out to my cousin Caesar Nicolas Cuso, aka Cuso. He gave me that
Shout out.
book. And Obstacle is the way is a phenomenal book.
Obstacles away. I'm gonna
Yeah.
read that after.
Yes.
You should read Patrick David's book. Have you read it?
No,
The
no,
new one that just came out.
no. But I
I'm gonna
will.
get it for you. I'm
Yes.
gonna get it. I'm
Thank
gonna
you,
get it
man.
for you. I got you
Appreciate
on that
that.
one.
Appreciate
Hold
that.
me. I'm gonna put that in my notes before I forget. That book is actually amazing. Not a Patrick David. I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna speak it into existence. I'm gonna get him on the podcast next year.
Manifest it, baby.
I'm put it here. I'm gonna
I love
clip
it.
this. I'm gonna clip this. We'll put back then interview with Angel. Jacob said this. Clipping this, but
Awesome.
I think the way to end it is going back to the analogy of the wolves. You learn to feed the wolf that was in the dark, the suffering, the I don't know if I'm good enough, I don't know if I'll succeed in this interview, but you fed it. And you realize that there was a light at the end of the tunnel. You realize that you did learn from that. You realize that it was all part of the process to become who you are today. So I hope you enjoyed the video. And if you made it to the end, I strongly encourage you guys check out. I'm gonna tag everything: your Instagram, your the nicholasgroup.com, angelnicholas.com, compass,
All of it.
everything. So you guys can check it out. Check out the story. Check out the credibility. Check out the listings that's sold. Now you heard a story, but now go check out the credibility. Go check out the proof. The proof is in the pudding. Go check out the pudding. Okay. But I really hope that you enjoyed it. I learned a lot. Got a couple book recommendations out of it. Learned a lot of life lessons, career development. Hope you guys did too. Anything else you want to leave off on?
Just I want to say thank you. Thank you to you and thank
Thank
you for
you.
everyone listening. I appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Thank you. See you guys on the next one.